Yeah,
we want to bring in right now Kasich Campaign National Communications Advisor Trent Duffy with us. Trent, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
Congratulations to you and your campaign for winning Ohio. But of course, that, Trent, is where the questions begin, because a lot of talk this morning saying, yes, great for John Kasich. He's a leader. He's done well. We expected him to take Ohio. He did. But where does that take him next?
Well, it takes him today to Pennsylvania, Maria, which is his home state where he grew up, and we expect to do well when that primary comes up. And then after that, it's off to Utah, which holds caucuses next week. We have another debate, as you know, in Salt Lake next week, and John Kasich has shown that he's the only presidential leader on that stage. And now that it's only down to 3 candidates, we think that the more people get to hear John Kasich and his message and how he's balanced budgets, cut taxes, got people working again, that's going to continue to build support in our favor.
Yeah, you know, Mark Serrano, up until now, people have just ignored the fact that we haven't had any real policy discussions. I mean, Trump is not talking about policy solutions, and yet John Kasich is. I said earlier he's the adult in the room because he has done all of this. He has balanced a budget. Do you think there's a path for him?
No. Look, if you take a look at the exit polls, people are absolutely aggravated with the federal government. They feel absolutely abandoned by the Republican Party. And I think John Kasich is running a good campaign. You know, Trent, I believe every candidate gets to pick when he decides to leave the race. But your guy has won 1 state in 29 races. If he takes that record forward, he may not win another single race moving forward. So I really believe he can continue on, and he can possibly have that policy discussion, which might help the Republicans overall. But it's going to be a very difficult argument. And frankly, from an investment standpoint, I'm not sure who's going to continue to invest in a campaign that's got that sort of path moving forward.
Hey, good morning to you, Trent. My God, I mean, you're hitting them pretty hard this morning.
Well, I'm just... What about that, Trent?
That's all right. That's all right. We're used to that. But look, people are investing in John Kasich's campaign. People like Ken Langone, Stan Druckenmiller, and Steve Poizner and others. We're getting fundraisers across the board because they know that Kasich's the only one that can actually do it. Now, there's been a lot of talk about antipathy towards Washington. John Kasich's been in Columbus, Ohio. He's been getting Ohio working again, taking that state from an $8 billion deficit to a $2 billion surplus, 420,000 new private sector jobs. So his path, it's a steep path. There's no question about it. I don't disagree with you that it is challenging, but look at where John Kasich's been. No one expected him to be here today. No one expected him to be in the last 3 that are standing, and no one certainly expected for him to be the last governor in the race. So the national polls show him really climbing because he's getting that platform, and it's basically a 3-way tie going forward.
Yeah. You know, Anthony made an interesting comment earlier about billionaires. So I wouldn't be so excited just to have a billionaire. They haven't done fairly well on some of these financial investments, have they, Anthony?
But these guys are friends of mine, so I don't want to overly pick on them on the air.
Wait a second.
But I got to ask Trent something. Is that cool?
Please.
Trent, first of all, congratulations. And I give Governor Kasich a lot of credit for running a very high-minded campaign and not getting into the mud.
Totally agree.
But I have to ask you this question, sir, because you're a communications guy. What have we learned from Donald Trump in this experience about the way he is communicating, and has he changed the future of campaigning in presidential elections?
Boy, I'm not sure about that one. I think it's way too early to make a judgment on that. I think that, look, he's representing the anger that a lot of people have at Washington because, frankly, as we know, Washington has been broken for working men and women. The economy continues to underperform. It continues not to hire enough people and get them the right high-paying jobs. But I think Donald Trump is going too far, and I think that's starting to show up in the polls, not just in Ohio, but in other places. And I think you're going to continue to see that his numbers are right around 35, 40, but they're not growing. And 60+% of the Republican voters are not voting for Donald Trump because they're rejecting his kind of campaign.
So the bottom line is you want a contested convention.
The bottom line is John Kasich wants to share his message of bringing America together and going forward. We think a contested convention is all but inevitable because no candidate is going to have the 1237 that they need to win on the first ballot.
And
so
do you worry about backlash from Trump supporters basically saying, look, you stole the election from Donald Trump if there's a contested convention?
Well, Maria, the convention was set up to ensure that the delegates of the Republican Party get to choose the nominee they best think represents the party, that best represents the platform of the Republican Party, and best can go forward. 60% plus of Republican voters aren't voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a reason that it's 1,237 delegates, right?
That's right.
I mean, that's the number.
That's right.
He does seem to be the only billionaire, though, that gets away with being a billionaire, to Bob Nardelli's point. You know.
Yeah. Trent, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon. Trent Duffy, we'll be watching.